Welcome to this week's Gamer Gambit, where a fateful roll of the dice will leave you in awe or indifference. This week's title is Football Drama by Open Lab Games, and it's not what you think. It's as though Matisse has done triplets of Belleville for us. You're Rocco Galliano, the existentially troubled manager of a struggling football team. The cinematics are well thought out, the narrative is interesting and unique. It's a game of choices and experiences. And by choices, I mean each time you're provided a narrative, you're ultimately provided some sort of choice within that. As you choose your own adventure, you're also getting some sort of bonus for this. Sometimes it's negative, sometimes it's positive. You just never know what it's going to be. But it does affect, as all choices have consequences, your relationship and ultimately your game. I don't know a lot about soccer, but I don't think that you have to play this game. You do get a lot of different training types to use with your team, but it doesn't really matter that much. Each of these types will benefit your team in some way. It may negate some things for your team as well. I don't know, I haven't done all of them. But I do know that when you choose one of these, it gives you a subtle narrative that ultimately will provide some sort of bonus to your team. In this case, karma and attack. What does that do for you? I don't know. But it seems to balance pretty well against the team that I'm going to play, and I'll go with that. You're also given cards. Cards actually affect the game, but only the game, whereas stats affect your team overall. Cards are applied to a specific game and give you some kind of bonus for that game. Because you have cards, you also then have the ability to build a deck, and a deck has up to 5 cards. You can review each of the cards to see which fits your particular condition, but again, you don't know the team you're about to face, so this is a little bit of a gamble in and of itself. Also, if you play these cards, you lose them. Here in an example game, we see differing powers amongst the teams. I will be the team in red, obviously of greater power than the team in blue. You have 2 options that you can use, control or risk, in the case of advancing the ball. I learned early on that I wanted to play a control strategy as much as possible because it keeps your team's strain down while increasing the other team's strain. And if you did this enough, you could then start playing risk moves that got you a little bit closer to your goal and was more likely to be successful. But it's a gamble, so you had to choose wisely when to use control, when to use risk, and I don't know, maybe some of it is some luck as well. But you see here on our first attempt at a goal, we use a solo, single person to go in, and we are not successful with that. But we get it back into position quickly, and my strain is still low enough that I can do another solo run, and this time we are successful. And that feels good. That goal actually hit really early in the game, which I eventually won, which then takes you into a press conference where, like the other narratives, you are given some choices, which will affect your gameplay. In this case, the choice that you pick will ultimately wind up in a newspaper, and that reality may impact your relationship with somebody. Drama is a sports game, which is not my chosen title, but I gotta say this particular one was pretty fun, and I kind of want to go back and see if I can't finish out the season. Or in jail, I have no idea where Rocco Galliano is going to end up. I can say, though, that the story is unfolding in some pretty interesting and unique ways, perhaps even sordid ways. I can also see that you can send that tale down a lot of different paths, and I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what happens with that. Meanwhile, I'll be playing the soccer game, and so far is looking pretty good. I'm up to 5 weeks, and I've won all my games. Some of them were more difficult than others. I did tie one game, but my team continues to get more powerful with my strenuous training regimen. I gave Football Drama 5 stars. I actually think it was really good. The art was phenomenal. You saw the styling. It was very specific. It was very unique. And I thought the overall tonality was just really interesting and kind of drew you into the whole drama. The mechanics of it were really cool and really interesting too. So the mechanics were the card system that they used, the statistics that were in play for each of the teams, a myriad of different abilities that your team has. There are special abilities that you can unlock. I haven't seen those yet, but again, I'd like to go back and find some of those. The intuitiveness of the system in controls was great. I didn't have any problem learning how to use it. And even though it didn't give me a lot of information on how to interact with it, it was quick to pick up. So I didn't have any problem there. You don't control the teams, by the way. So a lot of that is on Rails for you. But your stats, I believe, are what ultimately play out in front of you. The story and narrative, obviously, completely unexpected, but very cool. And then the sound actually was really nice. There was some cool loungy music going on in the background, a lot of ambient tones and things. So nothing obnoxious, and actually it was just really good. It fit the feeling of the overall tone of the game. I almost forgot, we actually need to roll the dice one more time and find out what I will be bringing to you next week. So let's check it out. My next title is Not the Robots by 2D Array. And just to read about this, you are a robot in an office building. You have to eat furniture and not get caught. A mysterious story unfolds. Of course it does. Alrighty then. That's all I have for you this week. Join us again next week as we press our luck in the gambit once again. GG, everybody.